The unnoticed shadow Sofia Martinez knew the exact moment she became invisible. It wasn't when she'd first walked into Valentine Media Group, her heels silent against the marble floors. It wasn't even when she'd spent her first week memorizing Dante Valentine's schedule, his coffee order, the way he hated the sound of pens clicking. No, it was a Tuesday, 3:17 p.m., when Dante leaned back in his chair during a pitch meeting and said, "At least my assistant doesn't distract with her looks." The room had chuckled. Sofia's fingers froze over her tablet. Dante hadn't even glanced at her. He'd been arguing with the creative director about a campaign, his voice sharp as shattered glass. The comment was offhand, meant to emphasize his focus on work, not an insult, not a compliment, just a fact. Sofia wasn't pretty enough to be a distraction. She exhaled slowly, counted to 5 in Spanish, and kept typing. Later in the bathroom stall, she pressed her forehead to the cool metal door. Her reflection in the mirror had shown the same woman as always. Chestnut hair and a tight bun, minimal makeup, a navy blazer that hid her curves. Professional, efficient, unseen. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend. "Lucia, you okay? You left lunch so fast?" Sofia hesitated, then typed. He said, "I'm not attractive enough to be noticed." Lucia's reply was instant. "Quit. Now." Sofia tucked her phone away. Quitting wasn't an option. But staying like this, shrinking herself into a ghost, wasn't either that night. In her tiny apartment, she poured a glass of wine and opened the company's job portal. The listing glowed on her screen. Director of Corporate Communications. It required everything she had: strategic vision, crisis management, the ability to weave words into influence. Skills she'd honed for 2 years while Dante took credit. She clicked apply before she could second guess. The next morning, didn't bring Dante his coffee. He noticed. Of course he did. He stood in her doorway, tie loosened, his dark brows furrowed. "Where's my espresso?" Sofia didn't look up. The kitchen's down the hall. A beat of silence. Dante's jaw twitched. "You're pissed." "No," she said softly. "I'm done." His laugh was cold. "Over what?" "One comment?" Sofia finally met his gaze. "No. Over 2 years of them." Dante opened his mouth to argue, to dismiss, but the hour notification pinged on her laptop. Interview scheduled. His eyes flicked to the screen, then back to her. Something like panic flashed in his expression. "You're leaving?" Sofia smiled, small and sad. "You just never saw me enough to notice." Dante Valentine was not a man accustomed to discomfort. Yet, for 3 days, his office felt too large, his coffee too bitter, his schedule a mess of misplaced meetings. The absence of Sofia's quiet efficiency was like a phantom limb he kept. Reaching for something that wasn't there, he told himself it was just an adjustment period. Assistants came and went. But when he snapped at his new temp for using the wrong font in a presentation, Helvetica, not Arial, how hard is that? The girl's trembling hands made him pause. Sofia had never trembled. The Gallet, annual Valentine Media Gala, was Dante's domain, a glittering spectacle where deals were made and egos stroked. He arrived fashionably late, his tuxedo immaculate, his smile calculated. The ballroom was a sea of familiar faces, investors, celebrities, sycophants. And then he saw her. Sofia stood near the champagne tower, bathed in golden light. She wore a crimson dress that clung to her curves, her hair loose and tumbling over one shoulder. She was laughing at something Marcus Coldante's biggest rival had said. Her head thrown back, her throat exposed. Dante's glass slipped. In his hand, this wasn't his Sofia. His Sofia was the woman who organized his life in silence, who faded into the background. This woman was vibrant, her confidence magnetic. Marcus leaned in, whispering something that made her smirk. And Dante's chest burned. He crossed the room before he could stop himself. "Enjoying yourself?" Voice came out sharper than intended. Sofia turned, her dark eyes meeting his. No flinch, no deference. Just amusement. "Dante, you remember Marcus, don't you?" Marcus grinned, extending a hand. "Always a pleasure." Dante ignored it. "You're not wearing your glasses." A slow blink.
Act contacts.
He'd never noticed the flecks of gold in her irises. Marcus cleared his throat. Sophia was just telling me about her new role. Sounds like she'll be running the place soon. New role? Dante's pulse spiked. You took the communications position. She sipped her champagne. I start Monday. The air between them crackled. Marcus, sensing the tension, excused himself with a smirk. Dante stepped closer, his voice low. You didn't tell me? You didn't ask? A muscle in his jaw twitched. Is this about what I said? Sophia tilted her head. Which part? The one where you called me replaceable? Or the time you said I'd blend into the wallpaper? He flinched. Had he said that? She set her glass down. Enjoy your party, Dante. As she walked away, heads turned. Men watched. Women whispered. Dante stood frozen, realizing too late. She was never invisible. He just refused to see her. Dante didn't chase her. Not at the gala. Not when she disappeared into the crowd with Marcus Cole's hand lingering too long at the small of her back. He told himself it was beneath him begging an assistant for attention. But 3 nights later, he found himself outside her apartment. Rain slicked the pavement as he stood under the flickering street lamp. His coat collar turned up against the chill. He hadn't called, hadn't texted. Just showed up like some lovesick fool from a bad romance novel. Pathetic. Her building was modest, far cry from his penthouse. The buzzer was sticky under his finger. A pause. Then her voice wary through the intercom. Who is it? Open the door, Sophia. Silence. Then the lock clicked. She stood in the doorway, barefoot in an oversized sweater, her hair piled in a messy knot. No crimson dress tonight, no polished armor, just her. You look terrible, she said. He barked a laugh. Haven't slept. She stepped aside, letting him in. Her apartment smelled like vanilla and ink stacks of books, half-empty mugs, a laptop glowing on the coffee table. Work. Always work. Dante didn't sit. You're really leaving? Sophia crossed her arms. Already did. Why? You know why? He dragged a hand through his rain-damp hair. Because I'm an asshole. Fine. But you never... His voice cracked. You never fought back. Her laugh was sharp. Would it have mattered? Yes. Bullshit. She stepped closer, eyes blazing. You treated me like furniture, Dante. Something useful. To lean on, but never notice. And the second I stopped being convenient, I noticed. The words tore out of him. Silence. Sophia went very still. Dante exhaled, his breath ragged. At the gala, seeing you with him, I wanted to put my fist through a wall. Her lips parted. You don't get to be jealous, I know. He swallowed. I am. A beat. Then she turned away, her voice quiet. Go home. He didn't move. Tell me to leave, and I will. She hesitated. That hesitation wrecked him. 6 weeks later, the office buzzed with whispers. Did you hear? Dante Valentine showed up to the quarterly meeting with notes. Actual handwritten notes. He asked HR to review the maternity leave policy. He brought bagels for the interns. Sophia heard. It all through the grapevine, but kept her distance. She had her own battles now rebranding the company's image, sparring with executives who still saw her as just an assistant. But late one night, as she worked in her new corner office, an email notification popped up subject. For when you're ready, her pulse. STUTT. No signature. Just a link to a private cloud folder. Inside, a scanned apology letter on company letterhead, crossed out and rewritten 3 times. A revised employee handbook with her old suggestions highlighted equal pay audits, flexible hours, a photo of Dante's desk. Her favorite pen sat in the holder, untouched. Sophia closed the laptop. Dante sighed. His therapist said progress wasn't linear. Some days, he wanted to storm into Sophia's office and demand forgiveness. Others, he lay awake replaying every time he'd dismissed her. His sister, Mira, forced him to volunteer at a youth center. Stop wallowing, be someone she'd choose. The kids called him Grumpy Santa. The breaking point of crisis hit a leaked scandal threatening Valentine Media's biggest client, the board demanded. Spin controlled. Dante stood at the head of the conference table, sweat slicking his collar. We need Sophia? Silence. Marcus Cole smirked. She reports to me now. Dante's knuckles whitened around his pen, then asked nicely. Midnight in the office, Sophia found him slumped over his desk, tie undone, crisis averted. You're welcome, she said. Dante jolted upright. Dark circles bruised his eyes. You saved us. No. She set a coffee on his desk black. No sugar. He stared at it. Why? Because I'm good at my job. She turned to leave. Sophia, his voice cracked. Tell me how to fix this. She paused at the door. Keep the pen. 6 months later, the rooftop garden of Valentine Media was Sophia's sanctuary, a rare, quiet space above the chaos of the city. She came here every Thursday afternoon with her lunch, savoring the solitude. Today the wind carried the scent of rain. She didn't hear him approach. Mind if I join you? Dante stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets. No suit jacket to age, just rolled up sleeves and a loosened tie. The sunlight caught the silver at his temples, the faint lines around, his eyes that hadn't been there 6 months ago. Sophia set her sandwich down. It's a free rooftop. He sat beside her, not too close. The silence between them wasn't tense, just waiting. Finally, he spoke. I turned down the Mercer deal. She blinked. That was $1 billion account. Yeah, he rubbed his jaw. They wanted us to bury a harassment scandal. Told them we don't work with predators. Sophia studied him. The old Dante would have rationalized it. Business is business. You're different, she said. He met her gaze, trying to be. A gust of wind sent her napkin fluttering toward the edge. Dante lunged, catching it before it could. Fly away, he handed it back, their fingers brushing. Neither pulled away. The letter Dante exhaled. I owe you more than an apology. Damn right. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, not corporate letterhead this time, but plain notebook sheet, edges worn from handling. Read it, he said. Or don't. But it's yours. Sophia unfolded it. Sophia, I used to think love was something you earned by being perfect. Then I watched you walk away, perfect in your imperfection, and realized I'd been wrong about everything. If you ever give me another chance, I'll spend every day proving I see you not the woman who organized my life, but the one who changed it. No expectations, just hope. Their throat tightened. The question Dante didn't kneel. Didn't grandstand. Just waited, his shoulders tense, as if braced for a blow. Sophia folded the letter carefully. You know I'm dating someone, Cole? His jaw clenched. I know, and if he makes you happy, I'll live with it. The words sounded ripped from him. But Sophia, let me take you to dinner. Just once. Let me show you I can do better. She traced the edge of the paper. Marcus was charming, safe. He'd never call her invisible, but he'd also never looked at her. The way Dante was looking at her now, like she was the sun, and he was finally brave enough to step into the light. One dinner, she said. Dante's. Breath left him in a rush. That's it? She stood, tucking the letter into her pocket. Ask me again after dessert. She walked away. She didn't look back. But for the first time, she knew he was watching. Epilogue. 1 year later, The Times. Profile called them the power couple redefining corporate integrity. Dante still worked too hard. Sophia still rolled her eyes at his messy desk. But when she walked into a room, his gaze followed not because he needed something, but because he couldn't help it. And every morning, without fail, he brought her coffee black. No sugar, just the way she liked it.